You know the robes. You've heard the catchphrase. You've seen the glory, the gold, and the glitter. But what you don't know is the pain behind the pageantry. The man behind the myth lived a life more brutal than any match he ever fought. From near-death plane crashes to losing everything, including his own son. This isn't just the story of the greatest wrestler who ever lived. This is the story of the man who survived the ring and the real world. This is Ric Flair, unmasked. Ric Flair was born as Richard Morgan Flyer, but the truth of his birth was anything but simple. He was adopted through a black market baby scheme, unknowingly becoming part of a scandal that would only surface decades later. Raised in Minnesota by a loving adoptive family, Ric wasn't handed greatness, and he built it. From a young age, he was loud, full of life, and hungry for attention. He tried everything: amateur wrestling, football, even medicine. But when he stepped into a wrestling ring, the world shifted. Trained by the legendary Verne Gagne, Ric Flair entered the world of pro wrestling in the early 70s. Back then, wrestling was gritty, dangerous, and far from glamorous. He didn't have the perfect body. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he had something no one else had: pure charisma. In 1975, everything almost ended before it began. Flair was aboard a private plane with other wrestlers heading to a show in North Carolina. The plane crashed. Everyone on board was severely injured. Ric broke his back in 3 places. Doctors told him he'd never wrestle again. But Ric Flair wasn't built to listen. Just 3 months after the crash, he was back in the ring. And this time, he came back with a new identity. No longer just Ric Flair. He became the Nature Boy. Robes, diamonds, limousines, and the iconic scream that shook arenas. Whoa! But the glitter wasn't just for show. Flair lived his gimmick. His lifestyle outside the ring was even more outrageous than what fans saw on TV. Champagne, parties, women, thousands of dollars spent like candy. He was the living embodiment of wrestling's wildest era. And while fans saw the gold belts and world titles, they didn't see what it was costing him behind the curtain. Ric Flair won 16 world championships. He went toe-to-toe with legends like Ricky Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, and Sting. Every night he bled, screamed, and entertained like it was the last match of his life. But outside the ring, Ric was falling apart. His obsession with the Nature Boy persona turned into addiction. Alcohol, affairs, gambling. Flair admits to spending over $30,000 a month just to maintain the image. He got married and divorced 4 times. He was there for the crowds, but absent for his family. Then came the worst moment of his life. His youngest son, Reid Flair, was a rising star, set to follow in his father's footsteps. But Ric didn't see the signs. Reid struggled with addiction, and in 2013, at just 25 years old, he died from a heroin overdose. Ric was destroyed. The same man who survived plane crashes and broken bones was now a broken father. I was supposed to go before him, Ric said in an interview, barely holding back tears. He blamed himself for not being there, for not being the dad Reid needed, just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse. In 2017, Ric was rushed to the hospital with multiple organ failures. He was placed in a medically induced coma. Doctors gave him a 20% chance to survive. For 11 days, the world thought Ric Flair was gone. But like every comeback he ever made, he got up. He beat death again. Ric Flair's story isn't just about wrestling. It's about pain. It's about survival. It's about what happens when the lights go off, the crowd leaves, and the man behind the legend has to face himself. He was born with nothing. He built an empire and lost it.
He buried a son.
He faced his demons, and he's still here. Even today, at over 70 years old, Ric Flair is more than a wrestling icon. He's proof that you can fall 1,000 times and then still rise. And maybe that's what being the man really means. Because in life, there are no scripted matches. There are no predetermined endings. You fight, you bleed, and if you're lucky, you get back up one more time. Ric Flair is imperfect. He's been reckless. He's made mistakes. But he's also shown us what resilience looks like. So if you've ever felt broken, if you've ever hit rock bottom, remember Ric Flair and let out a loud, unapologetic "woo!" Like this video if you believe in second chances. Comment "woo" if Ric Flair is a legend in your book, and subscribe for more real stories behind the legends of wrestling. This isn't just sports entertainment, this is real life.